Hi, we're going to do our notes in sections. So this first set of notes will only be for section 1.1. So this is going to cover linear equations. We're going to look at our basic terminology, linear equations, identities, conditional equations, and contradictions, and then solving for a specified variable, literal equations. So terms you need to be familiar with are equations, solution, which are your roots, solution set, equivalent equations, linear equations in one variable, first degree equation, identity, conditional equation, contradiction, literal equation, simple interest, and future value or your maturity value. All right, so we'll get started here with some basic terminology. So a number that makes an equation a true statement is called well, if I can get this to move, y'all have to bear with me sometimes trying to get this to work. It's called a solution of the equation. The set of all numbers that satisfy an equation is called the solution set of the equation. And these turned out much larger than I expected. And then our solution set, let's make this a size that will actually fit. And then equations with the same solution set are equivalent equations. So give you guys a minute to get that all written down. So a number that makes an equation a true statement is a solution of the equation or a root. The set of all numbers that satisfy an equation is called the solution set of the equation, and equations with the same solution are called equivalent equations. So here are two properties. We have our addition and multiplication properties of equality. So you're going to let A, B, and C represent real numbers. So if A and B are equal, then if you add some number C to both sides, it will remain equal. So the same number may be added to each side. So when we're solving equations, when you subtract a number from one side, you have to subtract or add it to the other side. So if you add 4, you have to add 4 to both sides of the equal sign in order to keep your equation balanced. Same thing applies when you're multiplying. So if you have two sides that are equal, as long as the number you're multiplying by is not 0, you have to multiply both sides by the same number. So linear equations in one variable. A linear equation in one variable is an equation that can be written in this form. So we have a times x plus b equals 0, where a and b are real numbers and a is not 0. So we're going to solve this linear equation. So when you have a 3 touching the parentheses, for those of you that need a reminder, you have to distribute the 3 to everything inside. Okay, so you want to distribute or multiply the 3 to everything that is inside the parentheses. So 3 times 2x would be 6x, and 3 times -4 would be -12. And then over here we have 7, and then you're going to distribute the negative sign. So negative times x would be -x, and negative times 5 would be -5. All right, so now we can start applying those identities. So I have an x on both sides, so I'm going to add this x over here with this x. So that gives me 7x minus 12 equals, that one canceled out, so 7 minus 5 is 2. Now I can add this 12 to both sides, and that cancels here, so you've got 7x equals 2 plus 12 is 14. And now you can divide, because 7 times x and the opposite of times is to divide, so that would be 14 divided by 7 is 2. So the solution to this equation is 2. All right, so here when you have the same thing, you still have the equation, but with a fraction. What you're going to want to do is find the LCD, or your lowest common denominator, of your denominator. All right, so what we're going to do here is 3, 2, 4, and 3. So the LCD, or your lowest common denominator, is going to be 12. So you're going to multiply both sides by 12. So I'm going to distribute the 12 to each piece. So we're going to have 12 times 2x plus 4 over 3 plus, now you got to do it again, 12 times 1/2 x equals, do it again, 12 times 1/4 x, do it again, and there's a minus sign this time, 12 times 7 over 3. So now you distribute the 12. So since we do have a denominator of 3, 3 will go into itself once and it will go into 12 4 times. So now we're going to distribute the 12 instead. Instead of the 12, we're going to distribute the 4. So now we got 4 times 2x, let me scroll this up, is 8x, and 4 times 4 is 16, plus 12 times 1 is 12, 12 divided by 2 is 6, and we have the x still. 12 times 1 is 12, 12 divided by 4 is 3, you still have your x, and now we've got 3 will go into itself once, 3 will go into 12 4 times. 4 times 8, 4 times 7 is 28, and that is going to be a minus 28. So now I can combine the 8 and the 6x because they are like terms. So 6 plus 8 is 14x, and then we have plus 16 equals 3x minus 28. Now I can do the same thing. I have an x on both sides, so if I subtract 3 from this side, I have to subtract it from this side. So it gives me 11x plus 16 equals negative 28. Now I can subtract 16 from both sides. I have 11x equals negative 44. Remember, when the signs are the same, you add the numbers and keep the sign. So now I am multiplying by 11. The opposite is to divide by 11. So negative 44 divided by 11 is negative 4. So our solution to that one is negative 4. And keep in mind, you can push pause at any time to copy down anything that you did not get. All right, so now let's talk about identities. So here, I don't know what that is. All right. So determine whether each equation is an identity, a conditional equation, or a contradiction. So what you have to do is you have to go through and solve. And once you solve it, you'll know if it's an identity, if it's conditional, or a contradiction. So I'm going to distribute the negative 2. So that gives me negative 2x minus 8 plus 3x equals x minus 8. I'm going to combine the negative 2x and the 3x. So negative 2 plus 3 is 1x minus 8 equals 1x minus 8. Therefore, if I subtract the x from both sides, I get minus x, it's going to cancel. And if I add 8 to both sides, they're going to cancel. So you get 0 equals 0. When a statement such as 0 equals 0 results, the equation is an identity of the solution set. So it means all real numbers will be the answer. That's because I can plug in any number I want and it will always come true. All right, our next example here. So go through and solve this. So since I have just an x here and nothing over here, I don't have to worry about it. So I'm going to add this 4 to both sides. So I get 5x equals 15. We're going to divide by 5. So we get x equals 15 divided by 5 is 3. This is a conditional statement because the answer is 3. There's only one answer that works. So this is conditional when only one answer works. All right, in our next example, so we're going to 3 times 3 is 9x, and 3 times negative 1 is negative 3, equals 9x plus 7. So if I subtract 9x, I get nothing. Now I've got negative 3 equals 7. This is a false statement. Negative 3 does not equal 7. So when that happens, this is known as a contradiction. This is a contradiction. So when you get a false statement, so when the left does not equal the right, it is a contradiction, and it is considered an empty set, and it is symbolized by this. This is known as the empty set. All right, so to wrap up that page. So if solving a linear equation leads to a true statement, such as 0 equals 0, it is an identity, and it is all real numbers as your solution. So all real numbers. If you lead to a single solution, this is a conditional, and it has a single element as the answer. And if you get a false statement, this is a contradiction, and you have that symbol there known as the empty set. All right. So here, what if you're only going to solve, I give you an equation, it's all letters, and I ask you to solve for one of the letters that is there. I want you to solve for t. So we're going to isolate the t. So we're going to go through here, and since it says I equals P times R times T, since everything is times, the opposite of times or multiply is to divide. So I want to divide by P, and I want to divide by R. So I'm going to divide by PR on both sides, because that will cancel out those two, leaving me with T. So on this side I have I divided by PR. Or you may want to write it as T equals I over PR. Either way works. This is customary to write it this way, but this is the same thing. And we're going to use this formula. So just to go ahead and jump ahead, this is your simple interest formula, where I is your interest. This is the amount of interest you pay on something. B is the principal, which is your starting amount. R is your rate, and T is time in years. So let's take a look at, I feel like I left a problem out. I think I did. Let me scroll through here. I did. I left 2 out. Okay. All right, so we're going to solve for P. So we're going to get P by itself. Well, we have A minus P equals PRT. Well, since we have P on both sides and we want to solve for P, let's move this P to this side. So let's add this P. So now I have A equals PRT plus P. Well, now, since we want to solve for P, what you're going to want to do is factor out a P. So if I factor out a P, this is going to be RT plus 1. Think about it going backwards. P times RT will give you PRT, and P times 1 will give you P. Sorry about that. All right, so now if I want P by itself, right now you are multiplying by P, and I want P by itself, so let's divide by RT plus 1. So I'm going to divide by RT plus 1. I know this looks terrible. A divided by RT plus 1 equals, now that all cancels out, and I have P by itself. Or if you like, P equals A divided by RT plus 1. All right, and then down here, I'm going to, okay, so we're going to distribute the 3. So 3 times 2x is 6x. 3 times negative 5a is negative 15a. And then you bring everything else down. All right, so we're solving for x. So what I want to do is move this 4x to this side. So I'm going to subtract 4x from both sides. So that gives me 2x minus 15a plus 4b equals, that canceled, negative 2. All right, so since I want x by itself, I'm going to add the 15a. to both sides. And I'm going to go ahead and subtract the 4b also. That way those two cancel out, and I'm left with that x over here by itself. So now I want the -2 to go at the end, so I'm just going to rewrite this as 15a minus 4b minus 2. And now I can divide by this 2 so that I get x by itself because we're solving for x. But I have to divide by 2 over here also. So it gives me 15a minus 4b minus 2 divided by 2. And we're going to leave our answer just like that. You don't have to worry about simplifying it. Oh, I think I just made that worse. You don't have to worry about simplifying it. You just leave it as is. And you're done. All right. So let's apply that simple interest formula. So I equals PRT. So we have a woman who's going to borrow $5,240 for new furniture. She will pay it off in 11 months at an annual simple interest rate of 4.5%. How much interest will she pay? So we're looking for interest. So let's identify the P, the R, and the T. So the principal is the amount she's going to borrow. Her rate is 4.5%. Please don't forget, whenever you have percentages, you have to move that decimal. So that's going to be 0.045. And time is in years. So this is 11 months. So 11 out of 12 months. So 11 out of 12 months would be how long? And I'm going to make that 11 look more like an 11. All right, so let's plug all these numbers in. So we got our principal times our rate times our time. And then we just plug this into our calculator because we're not going to do that in our head. And we get, when I did this, I think it was 216.15, yes. So she is going to pay $216.15 in interest. So not only will she pay back the $52.40, she will also pay an additional $216 for letting her borrow the money. All right, I hope you found this helpful, and I will talk to y'all soon. Have a good day. I've got to go